Hello and welcome back to my guide to riding the GranGuanche bikepacking event, which is a 5-island event across the Canary Islands. And yeah, here's the website if you've not seen it already. If you've seen the rest of my series, there's 3 more videos leading up to this. One for each of the 3 previous islands of Lanzarote, Fuerteventura and Gran Canaria. So this video is for the 4th island, Tenerife. So if you have a look at the GranGuanche website, it's got loads of really great information on there, loads of details about the event and some incredible photography. I mean, if every event had a website like this, then I mean, it would be really incredible. So yeah, so on to the map. So again, using the Rival GPS, not really sponsored or anything, but it kind of works quite well for me, and I quite like the visuals of it. So myself and Sophie and Zahili were riding this event together. We weren't trying to be super competitive, so we were, enjoying a meal every now and again and staying in hotels overnight. So we caught the ferry from Gran Canaria about 8 p.m. So when we arrived in Santa Cruz de Tenerife, I think it's about an hour ferry, not too long. It was dark, so as you could well imagine, we started in the ferry port. And the first little bit, I mean, we got there, we were pretty hungry, so we just cruised out, and it's quite a big kind of city. There's a nice cycle path, and then you get onto the road. And I think we stopped for like a little burger or something. There's a few little shops. So again, as with most of these riding on these islands, it's worth resupplying at the start of each island when you have the opportunity, and buy quite a lot of food. Tenerife is not so bad on the first half, but certainly Gran Canaria you can really struggle to get resupply if needed. So yeah, we stopped. Must have been on this strip down here. It's like quite a long urban kind of area. So I can't remember exactly where it was. Potentially down here. And we just got a bit of food. I think we had like a burger or something like that, and packed up and headed off up the first climb. So as you can see, looking at the sort of terrain type on the profile on the bottom here, it was or is a tarmac climb. So it was dark. I don't have much footage of this, but you can tell that it's a very beautiful climb. And if you go on the little Google Earth man, you can see what we're kind of dealing with. Pretty spectacular terrain, lovely twisting road up through the mountains. And as we were there in the dark, we didn't see any of it at all. So we had a rough plan. We wanted to find somewhere to stay that night. So we aimed for San Cristobal de la Laguna, which is about 30 miles. So there's a fair bit of climbing in that, more climbing than descending. And there's a little bit of off-road here, but it's kind of wide, like dirt roads through a national reserve. And on Tenerife, basically, it's absolutely dreamland for a gravel bike. So after I rode this event, I actually went back a few months later just with my gravel bike onto Tenerife, and I did some really good rides. So if you're thinking of going to Tenerife, just take a gravel bike. There's all the amazing roads, and there's some incredible gravel riding, especially when you get up high, as you will see in a few minutes. So we stayed in San Cristobal de la Laguna. We got in about 11 p.m. Found like the last room on a hotel. We had to ring around a bit and ended up in some fancy place, and obviously brought the place down. And then you kind of sort of head out in the morning. So we left probably 8 a.m. We didn't get any kind of breakfast at the hotel. I think we stopped somewhere on the way. Most stuff wasn't really open. You see the cafe on the side there. Everything was just opening up. So we decided to get a bit of a few miles under the belt and make some progress before we stopped for breakfast. So you pass the airport. I mean, this bit isn't fantastic, but we stopped in La Esperanza. There was a little cafe on the way in we stopped at, brought a large amount of baked goods. And there's also a nice little, I think there's a supermarket. I can't remember what type it is. Superdino, that's where we stopped, just here. So we stopped there, and we basically just resupplied, because this is pretty much the last chance you're going to get for quite a substantial while. So you basically want to be prepared to get to the ferry with the food here, because once you're over the other side, as you can see from the profile, there's a lot of up, and then it's like fast down on the road. And when you're on these gravel sections here, there's nothing, no resupply. There are a few sections here, but to be honest, it's you're going down to the ferry, so you might as well just fuel to the end. So this section here through town, and there's some real nasty steep little climbs. You're just gaining a little bit of height out of town. And then you go into this really cool off-road section. Now this section is probably one of my favourite bike rides I've ever done. It's absolutely spectacular. So you're going through this regional park, and it's kind of like you're going like on a bit of a balcony to start with. It's kind of a bit up and down, and as you can see, it's fairly easy riding. It's actually, when you get a little bit higher, it's actually rainforest. So it was dry when we were here, but when I went back in the February after, it was really bad weather, and it all dumps on the north of the island, which is where we are here. And there, up high, there was actually snow, so this can get quite muddy. So this was November. When I was there in February, it snowed. So yeah, just again, be aware of that. Think about your layers. Don't just think you're going to the Canaries, so it's not going to be cold, because you're going up high. So it will be. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you're going up to altitude on a mountain, you will get the conditions can catch up with you. So yeah, basically you're just traversing. There's a few little climbs, but there's nothing too bad, and you're basically making your way along the north side of the island. This is the main road up down here, so you do actually kind of get onto that at some point. So this is all sort of in the wood line. You're not sort of gaining massive amounts of altitude, but then you get onto the road here. So there might be a bit of traffic, but it's a beautiful road climb, even if you've got a road bike. And as you can see, there's a few little tracks off the side. So yeah, you're climbing up, and then you turn off. And this section here up to the top, up to the there's a big like observatory up there. It seriously is one of the coolest sections you will ever do on a bike. It's absolute gravel heaven. So let me find the video of that. So it's really nice because you're on a volcano. You're gradually climbing and climbing. So we're in the wood line. You're getting higher. You can see the trees are thinning out. It's getting a bit scrubbier, and you're just going up and up and up. And as you get higher, the terrain does kind of slightly change. So we're higher still here. You can see there's even less sort of vegetation, and it's like real kind of red earth. It's kind of like sampling all of the islands. So this feels a bit like Fuerteventura, where it's kind of almost like Mars-like. And again, the climb isn't too bad. It's not too steep, but you are at altitude here. You're well over 2,000 meters. So it does take a bit of a toll on your breathing, so you do have to factor that in, that it's not going to be as easy as it once was. And then you're getting higher still, and as you can see here, it's kind of like that dark volcanic kind of soil and rock, bit more like Lanzarote. And you can see the observatories in the far distance there at the top. Essentially that is where you're going to be going to. Now it's a bit of a cloudy day today, but when it is clear up there, you get some pretty spectacular views of El Teide, which is the big volcano, which is like 4,000 meters. We're going to go, I think you're probably at 2.6, 2.7 at the top here. So you're not going to get really high, but it's certainly enough to take your breath away, both literally and metaphorically. And this is the top section before you hit the road. So this is essentially the top of the high point of this route. See Sofian, I was up there a little bit before him, and it totally clouded out. In the background there, you should be able to see El Teide. And then you kind of drop onto the road. So just to put that on the map, it's this section up here, and there's a very small section of road here. So you'll be here, that's the peak, and then you're on this really cool kind of balcony road that pretty much, it's gradually descending and a few ups and downs, and you're going basically then around the southern side of the island and around the volcano. And this is like, again, super cool section. Just again, there's nothing up there, so you're not going to get any resupply up there. There is one little section you might get water, which I'll show you in a second. But this is the road. There's a bit more tree cover. I don't know if there's been a forest fire up there, or probably just too dry. Unfortunately, the climate is changing, and some trees don't like it. But you can see this road is absolutely dreamy. It's just gravel bike paradise. I mean, you could probably ride a road bike around there. It's also worth noting, obviously, all this footage was taken on the GranGuanche trail, but the GranGuanche gravel follows exactly this route. So this is like exactly what you'll see if you're doing the gravel version. There's no differences on Tenerife, and there we go, more just balcony stuff, traveling around. And then there's a little surprise. Generally you can ride everything on this race, but there is a little bit of a hiker bike. And when you drop down into this, basically it's where the road was once going around the, sort of the hillside, and it's all been washed away, so you have to go down and hike back up. So there's a bit of hiking, but right down the bottom there is a little stream, so you can get some water out of the stream. Myself and Sophie both drank out of that stream, and it was fine. So you can see here, like where the the road is obviously washed away behind me, and just kind of pushing back up. So on the map, that section will be Villa Flor, probably this little kink down here. Yeah, down here I believe. Yeah, there's a little stream, so you just got to kink off the track and back on again. Oh no, sorry, it's this one here. See where the road was there, it's been washed away in here somewhere. So you just drop off. It looks like the track stops, but you just have to look down to the left, and then you might be able to ride it on a mountain bike if you're pretty skilled. On a gravel bike, you'd probably be pushing your luck a little bit. It's quite rocky, and you're probably asking for mechanical if you hit a rock too hard with the smaller tyres. But there's that stream down the bottom, and then you hike back up. It's probably like 15-20 minutes, so not too bad. And once you've gone through that hiker bike, there's not an awful lot left. There's a bit of a drag up, and then you reach the town of Villa Flor. So you could resupply here if you were desperate, but to be honest, it's all downhill on the road from there, from that point onwards towards a ferry. So I mean, if you're trying to like get the ferry, I wouldn't stop there. The roads are like silky smooth. You can see how beautiful these roads are. Great fun on a road bike, equally fun on a mountain bike or gravel bike. And then you're just covering the last sort of, what is it, 15, 20 miles really quickly. So essentially you're just kind of descending out the tree line. You'll get further down, it opens up, and it gets a bit crappy down the bottom because it's a tourist town. It's where all the Brits on tour go. So yeah, you want to just get to the ferry port as quick as you can, and there's loads of restaurants and stuff in that town. And then you get to the ferry and you roll on. So yeah, we made it across the island. Probably, I reckon you could probably do it in 12 hours if you were giving it some and didn't stop too much. Yeah, we got the ferry about 8 p.m, 7 or 8 p.m, just getting dark. And on the trail race, you then go over to Las Palmas. So as you can see, ferry is just down here, Los Cristianos. Yeah, and that's the end of Tenerife. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and hopefully it's been really useful. So the next video will be Las Palmas. So that is only applicable to the trail race. The gravel race goes to El Herrero, I believe, which is another of the islands around Tenerife. So yeah, if you've missed the first 3 videos, go back and have a look. I'll put the links in the description below. I hope you found it useful and interesting. Put any questions in the comments, and yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.